We used the money from your mother-in-law's savings for this trip. It'll eventually be Tyler's inheritance anyway, so it's okay, right? My brother and his wife hurry over right after our mother passed away, not to offer condolences, but to grab her bank book and withdraw her savings before I could submit her death certificate to the government office. You use Mom's money, huh? I asked Carol, trying to keep my anger in check. She casually replied, yeah, we spent about $10,000 on the trip. Lol. The nerve of my brother and his wife using my mother's money without permission made me furious. But then, I remembered something. Right, they don't know. I couldn't help but laugh. Carol looked confused by my sudden laughter. What's wrong with you? Did the shock of us using the money make you go crazy? Of course, I wasn't going crazy. I just couldn't help but laugh when I imagined the surprised faces of my brother and his wife when they found out the truth and how their carefree days were probably numbered. I'm Samantha, an ordinary office worker raised by kind parents. My parents were always thinking about how they could help others. Sometimes their kindness led to them being taken advantage of or burdened with responsibilities that weren't fair, but I admired them anyway. My brother Tyler, however, was very different. He always calculated what was beneficial for him and acted accordingly. To him, our parents who would go out of their way to help others didn't make sense. As Tyler grew up, his rebellion against our parents intensified. In high school, he started demanding more money from them, saying, if you can afford to help others, you can give me more allowance. Even though they accepted Tyler's personality, our parents never changed their beliefs. Their unshakable character only frustrated him more. Tyler's negative feelings toward our parents grew even stronger in college. He spent his college days partying, eventually failing a year, which caused trouble for them. Parents should naturally devote themselves to their children, right? Or can you only be kind to others, but not your own family? Tyler kept up his selfish behavior, justifying it to himself. I once overheard him bragging to his friends, my parents are so gullible, lol. After graduating from college, Tyler moved out and started living on his own. Although he left home without notice, he often complained, I can't live a decent life on my first paycheck, and kept coming back to our parents' house to get more money before returning to his place. Our parents were worried about him and kept giving him money whenever he asked. When I got a job, I decided to support our parents financially instead of Tyler. Samantha, it's your hard-earned money, so you can use it however you like, my parents said. But I wanted to help them, so I continued giving them money, treating it like their grocery expenses. This went on for several years, with Tyler only showing up to ask for more money. Then one day he unusually invited me and our parents to a restaurant to talk. When we arrived, a beautiful woman was sitting next to Tyler. Dad, Mom, Samantha, let me introduce you. This is my girlfriend, Carol, he said. The woman, introduced as Carol, bowed her head slightly. I've decided to marry Carol. We'll be busy preparing for our new life and the wedding, but I hope you'll support us. I thought by support, Tyler meant something like, please take care of Carol. But my brother had a completely different idea in mind. He asked our parents to pay for his wedding and a new home. Knowing our parents couldn't say no when it came to helping others, Tyler skillfully persuaded them to cover all the expenses. Even after the wedding and buying the new home, he continued to ask them for money. Carol, his wife, got used to this and started living more extravagantly. However, this lifestyle didn't last long. Our father's health began to decline and he was hospitalized. Even with insurance, hospital stays are expensive, so I stepped in to make sure our retired parents wouldn't struggle financially. I suggested to my brother that we should both help with Dad's hospital bills. I've been living at home and getting help from Mom and Dad, and you've received a lot of financial support from them too, right? This is the time to help them out, but my brother didn't agree. What? Why should I? It's Dad's fault for not taking care of his health. He neglected himself while helping others, so that's his responsibility, he said. After that, my brother stopped visiting our parents' house completely. Neither he nor Carol visited our father even once while he was in the hospital. My mother and I did everything we could to take care of him, but sadly, he passed away. Even when we told them about our father's death, they didn't help with the funeral arrangements. They showed up briefly at the funeral but didn't greet our relatives properly and left quickly. Our relatives looked at them with disapproval, but my brother and Carol probably didn't care. My mother, who had bravely acted as the chief mourner during the funeral, began to lose her energy after it was over. She was clearly affected by the loss of my father. Tyler, Mom has been feeling down lately. She wants to see you. Can you visit her at home sometime? I asked my brother. He thought for a moment and then asked, by the way, what happened to Dad's inheritance? It all went to Mom, I replied. It seems they decided that while Dad was still alive. I see, so Mom has the money now, right? He said. Feeling uneasy, I immediately warned my brother. Like I said before, Mom is emotionally fragile right now. Don't try to take her money, okay? I want you to come and cheer her up. He coldly responded, "What's the point of going if I can't get any money? It's not worth it." When I told my brother we wouldn't give him any money, he stopped visiting our parents' house altogether. Then, 6 months after our father's death, our mother passed away too. Even though he knew how weak Mom was, my brother showed no concern. When he heard about her death, he rushed back to our parents' house. I thought he would take on his role as the eldest son during the funeral, but as soon as it started, he and his wife disappeared. I tried calling his cell phone, but it went straight to voicemail. In the end, I took on the role of chief mourner and managed to finish the funeral by myself. A few days later, I finally got in touch with my brother. Carol, his wife, answered the phone. "Ah, Samantha, this is Carol. Tyler is busy with boarding procedures and can't answer the phone." "Boarding procedures? Carol, where are you?" I asked. "We're at JFK Airport. We're leaving the United States in a few hours, lol." "Are you leaving the country and going abroad?" I was shocked. "Yes, we're going on an international trip," she replied. I was stunned that my brother and his wife would go on a trip abroad right after our mother's death. But what Carol said next shocked me even more. "We're really grateful to our mother-in-law, you know? Thanks to her, we're able to enjoy this luxurious trip abroad, haha." "What do you mean by that?" I asked. "Well, we used our mother-in-law's savings for this trip. It was going to be Tyler's inheritance anyway, so why not use it now?" "How did you get that money?" I asked, trying to stay calm. "When we visited her house, we borrowed her bank book and seal. We knew we wouldn't be able to withdraw money once the death certificate was submitted, so we hurried," she explained. "The real reason they rushed to our mom's house after her death was to get the bank book and withdraw the money before I could submit the death certificate." "So, you used Mom's money?" I asked, holding back my anger. "Yes, we already spent $10,000 on the trip. It's a good thing Tyler's plan worked out," she said casually. For a moment, I was furious at their audacity, but then I remembered something they didn't know, and I couldn't help but laugh. "Serves you right," I thought. Confused by my sudden laughter, Carol asked, "What's wrong with you? Did the shock of us using the money make you lose your mind?" Tyler, being the eldest son, naturally assumed he would inherit more. Laughing, I replied, "Sure, that's fine. I'll give up my inheritance so Tyler can inherit everything. That was your plan all along, right?" Hearing this, Carol happily said, "Oh my, you're quite understanding, huh? By the way, please make sure all of Mom's mail is sent to your house from now on." "Don't worry, it's a simple task. I'll let Tyler know." Carol hung up cheerfully. I didn't hear from my brother again until they returned from their trip. "Samantha, Carol told me you're giving up your inheritance," Tyler said. "Yes, but more importantly, did you handle the mail forwarding for Mom's mail?" "Yeah, I took care of it as soon as we got back." "Good to know. You're not going to change your mind later, are you? You won't say you should have inherited after all?" "Of course not. I still believe my decision was the right one." "Well, it's only right that I, the eldest son, inherit everything, haha," my brother said, ending the call in high spirits. But a few weeks later, he called again, sounding panicked. "There's a collection notice addressed to Mom in her mail. What's this about?" "Oh, is it from the bank?" Our parents always wanted to help people in need and would accept any request, even when it came to money matters. If someone asked to borrow money, they would even borrow from the bank to lend to others or become a guarantor if asked. As a result, their debt grew more and more. The amount of debt was far greater than the savings, so inheriting would clearly put them in the red. "Did you know about this?" My brother raised his voice. "You knew Mom had debt, right? Why didn't you say anything?" "There was no point," I replied calmly. "What? You're saying it's meaningless? You knew about the debt, so you gave up your inheritance, right? If I had known, I would have given it up too." "That's impossible." "Why the hell is it impossible? Tyler, you took money from Mom's bank account to go on vacation, didn't you?" "So what? What does that have to do with giving up the inheritance?" "It's a big deal. What you did is considered a simple acceptance of the inheritance." "Simple what? What does that mean? Explain it so I can understand," he demanded. I explained to my brother that by withdrawing money from our deceased family member's account for his own use before the inheritance process, it was seen as a simple acceptance of the inheritance. "I have never heard of such a thing," he exclaimed. "Of course not. Not many people would even think of using a deceased family member's savings for their own selfish needs, so it doesn't come up in conversation," I said. "You're just making stuff up because you want the inheritance for yourself. I have a lawyer friend, you know. They'll find out if you're lying." My brother hung up and told his lawyer friend what I had said. When he called back, he sounded defeated. "Samantha, you were right. I can't give up the inheritance now. The lawyer told me the same thing you did." It turned out my brother had inherited our parents' debt. He had always asked them for money, never realizing they were going into debt to help others. It was his own fault for contributing to their financial problems. Still, my brother tried to avoid paying it back. He and his wife, Carol, had probably spent most of their money and didn't have much saved up. They clearly didn't have the means to pay off the debt. My brother tried to persuade me, saying, "Hey Samantha, our parents are gone, it's just us now. We should work together to pay back their debt. Let's forget about the inheritance and help me cover half of it." I sighed heavily. His proposal came too late. "What are you talking about? When Dad was in the hospital, I said we should help our parents together, but you pushed me away. I was busy at the time." "No matter how busy you were, you didn't visit Dad even once, and you didn't support Mom after he died. I don't want to hear about filial piety from you ever again." With nothing more to say, I ended the call. Have you ever done anything for someone else, Tyler? I know you took advantage of our kind parents, but no one will help someone who never does anything for others, even if they're family. But if you don't help me, Carol and I can't pay back the debt by ourselves. "Are you going to abandon your brother? We're family," he pleaded. "When Dad was in the hospital, you abandoned him and said it was his own fault for not taking care of his health. Now, using Mom's savings is your own fault," I said. "I regret that, but I've changed, have you? Even if you have changed, the person you need to apologize to is no longer here. It's too late." I hung up the phone. I had no intention of helping him after all the trouble he had caused our parents over the years. Afterward, Tyler and Carol, burdened with debt and unable to live comfortably, had a troubled marriage. They argued constantly but couldn't afford to live apart. They had to stay together, but their relationship only got worse. They tried to save money and pay off the debt bit by bit, but they couldn't keep it up. They missed their old luxurious lifestyle and spent money secretly, which meant their debt never decreased. They blamed each other for their financial problems, worsening their relationship further. Meanwhile, I finally found time to properly grieve our parents. At their funeral, many people spoke about how much help our parents had given them when they needed it. Seeing how many lives they had touched made me even prouder of them. It was ironic that Tyler, who had always been ungrateful and caused problems, ended up with a debt from their kindness. Even though our parents were in debt, I admired them for never stopping their efforts to help others. I continued to honor their memory at the family altar every day.